Kaya, my name is Fiona. I am the producer of The Smaller Stage and Executive Director of BREC, the Bunbury Regional Entertainment Centre, where this show premiered. I'm an Anglo-Saxon woman in my 50s with hair that is rapidly turning white, wearing a black coat with silver grey patterning. I would like to acknowledge that we made and premiered this work on Noongar Boodja, working across the unceded lands of the Pibbleman, Wadandi and Whadjuk peoples, and I pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. The Small Stage was co-commissioned by Perth Festival and first premiered in February this year at BREC, before transferring to the State Theatre Centre for a week-long season in the Perth Festival.
I am a 45-year-old male with short grey hair, glasses and a checked grey jacket. I'm sitting at a table in front of posters of the show. Hello, my name's Kim Crotty and I live in Madgemup, Western Australia with my two sons, Otto and Arlen, who are 16 and 14 years old. The Smaller Stage tells the story of the period of our lives when we lived in the UK and I was arrested for growing cannabis and sentenced to 2 years in prison. Locked up in Dartmoor, I became desperate to maintain my relationship with my sons, who were then just 5 and 3 years old. Letters and phone calls were heartbreakingly ineffective, and separated by granite walls and razor wire, the divide seemed impossible, but I had to try. I missed reading for my sons so much that I began to write for them, stories that their mum would read each night before bed. I wrote and illustrated 47 children's stories for my sons as a way of letting them know that I loved them and that even though we couldn't be together at that time, they were always on my mind and in my heart. I never imagined that our story would resonate with so many people, but an artist residency, designer Zoe Atkinson, director Matt Edgerton and producer Fiona de Garris encouraged me to share my experiences. The mistakes and the consequences, the heartbreak and the shame, but more importantly, the joy of creativity, of reading to young children, and the story that is, at its heart, a story about love. Here's Matt Edgerton with some more.
I'm a bald-headed, bearded man in a blue shirt. One of the play's central questions is, how much do we tell children the truth? Now, a man running a marijuana grow house is not an obvious subject for a children and family work, but in fact, that's what makes it such a special work. This is a play that says people are complex, that no one is beyond redemption, and that art and storytelling are incredibly powerful. Now, in telling Kim's stories, we used a range of forms. We have an intricately created pop-up book. We have live projected illustration. We've got a sumptuous old world stop frame animation. We have prison food used for a gross out story. And we even have an identity crisis from the main character illustrated with some sock puppetry. So there's something for everyone. Weaving through all of this is the most striking element of the work, which is our community participants. So for every show and every town we go to, we have 20 brand new participants, 10 pairs consisting of a child and their grown-up, who arrive at the show knowing nothing and strap on some headphones and get a 5-minute induction. These participants then weave in and out of the action, given very simple, very enjoyable prompts. Some of the prompts are very silly, some of them are dramatic, and some of them are quite joyful, like being asked to exchange a note with your parent or your child about something that you love about them. So the participants have freedom in how they respond to these prompts, and at the same time, their reactions are timed precisely to what is being spoken in the narrative. And so what results is a story about a parent and his children, illustrated by real parents and their children going on a real journey together.
How do you begin a story? To somehow capture life itself. Perhaps it's as simple as once upon a time. And we're away. Through the stories we tell them, children follow our carefully laid breadcrumbs into the dark forest. We tell them stories of heroes who are brave, hoping that they too will become unafraid of the world. We tell them stories about love and companionship, hoping that they too will find their own happily ever afters. And then there are the stories that we don't tell, the ones that are too hard, the ones in which we were wrong, the parts of life we soften or rush over or leave out altogether, like mine. "It's cool that you live in a castle now, Daddy," says Otto. "Big walls that go all the way up and towers everywhere. But it was scary to have to go through the big metal gates and get locked in, Daddy. What if they don't let us out? And the guards came and touched us all over, looking for things in our pockets. I told them to stop it and leave me alone," says Ali, the 2.5-foot tall giant. "Do you have a nice room, Daddy? Can we have a sleepover?" A word you almost never hear in prison is love. It's rarely spoken by the men who move past me every day. But I love them, these men. In all these men, I see my sons, my beautiful boys. These boys didn't get what they needed when they needed it, but I'm determined that that will not be the case for my children.
Hopefully you now have some sense of why the byline of the smaller stage is a story about love. Actor Ben Mortley is absolutely committed to this project and will make every effort to be available for future touring. We also plan to send a tour manager / engagement producer on the road who will support you in the process of recruiting and inducting the community participants, and also be able to support other bespoke engagement activities if you're keen. Briefly on the target audience of a parent or close carer and a child aged 9+ attending together. This may feel like a marketing challenge, but we have developed language and collateral to help you with this. It is also appropriate to market to audience segments including men, teenagers, theatre lovers and first-time theatregoers. Just before you fall too in love with the show, I draw your attention to the tech specs. This does need a performance space with a raked seating bank down to a flat floor. It won't work in a proscenium arch, unfortunately. So thanks for tuning in. I'll be in Sydney, hopefully also with Kim Crotty, and we look forward to celebrating being back together in real life with you all there.